So on Father's Day, I watched this movie that I heard so much about. Is God Is. It tells the story of two twins, Racine and Anaya, on their revenge tour to kill their dad. And the person who sent them on their mission is their dying mother. Okay, let's talk about it. First things first. When I first heard about this movie, I kind of rolled my eyes because I'm kind of over the revenge Western story, but something told me to give this one a shot, so I did. So let's get into it. So Racine and Anaya are two severely burned sisters. Anaya is burned worse as she is burned from what I've seen, her upper half, her face, all of that is severely burned, scarring, all of that. Uh, Racine just has her arm, and I think up to a piece of her neck burned. So much so that it looks like the ring finger and pinky have pretty much been scarred into one finger. And it's even referenced in the movie that she's the prettier one with the privileges of being mean, whereas Anaya has to be meaner. And from jump on this movie, I had this thought where Anaya is the more timid, more quiet, nicer, maybe even naive sister, and Racine is the defensive, more rough around the edges, more impulsive sister. And although they do care for each other a lot, there is a lot of emotional manipulation by Racine to Anaya. So much so that I started to get the inkling of, is this really two people? Or could this be like the mindset of one person dealing with the fork in the road mentality, where we have the super ego, which is kind of putting a stop and putting those blockers on, and Racine is more of the id, where she just does the thing without even thinking about it, like without thinking about the repercussions of it. So before I get any further, long story, you wake up, they have this psychic connection that's always been assumed, in culture, that twins have this innate ability to communicate without speaking, and it's played into this movie very well. So Anaya and Racine often look at each other and subtitles will appear on screen. Now, the one thing I love about the subtitles and even titles overall in this film is that when they appear, sometimes they're not in a straight line. Sometimes they're disjointed. They the pieces are moved because I think they're trying to convey that this is thought through trauma. This isn't, I don't want to say sound conversation. Sometimes it's a little upsetting. It's a little, I don't know how to put it. It's a little off. And I kind of like that. I really dug that they leaned into the fact that, hey, trauma can make you do things that'll make you side eye normal people, right? Even everyday conversations, even the way they, in the beginning of the film, there's a statement that them girls are always burning, always burning. And at first, I thought it meant their wounds, the scarring on their skin, because you see they treat each other with putting ice on each other, and they swap back and forth. So I imagine those girls are always burning just on surface level meant that they're still feeling the burning sensation on skin. But as you find out, it meant that these women are being torn at. They are dealing with the trauma of family, and they're still suffering. Them girls are burning, them girls are going through it. So they get this letter, right? And Racine reads it. This letter's to Racine. And Racine is like, hey, yo, this is this feels like mom sent this letter, and it turns out mom did. Mom sent them a letter beckoning them to come find her. Now, these twins have been put in foster service time and time again. They're grown up. And the one thing that's kind of weird is that the mother, played by Vivica Fox, sent this letter specifically to Racine, not to Racine and Anaya, right? And I think this is a commentary on parents have a favorite, right? Even when they haven't spent majority of their time with their kids, there's always this favoritism that's in the air, and they tend to have their favorite as the one who obeys them without question. And that's what Racine is. Racine goes, drops everything. They lose their job because of Racine threatening someone. Racine and Anaya go down south because they were up north to go meet mom. And Anaya makes a point that, yo, why didn't she send a letter to me too? And Racine is like, because you get all emotional, which is going to become like this recurring point in the movie. And it's also weird that these kids have been in foster care for all these years. How could she possibly know, one, where she's located, and two, who to talk to, right? So they go to see mom. They're in Virginia, I think. Or maybe even further. I know they stop at a state sign for Virginia and start twerking on it, which I thought was funny. So they pull up to the house and there's a welcome sign that says, "Welcome home, Racine and Anaya." And they're dressed in dresses, which is not typically how we see them dress, right? Which goes to kind of reinforce the point I'm going to make later, that this movie is kind of about blind religious following. We'll come back to that. So they get to the front of the house. There's a sign that says, "Welcome home, Racine and Anaya." And Anaya stops and she looks at the sign and says she spelled my name wrong. Okay. But they go in anyway. And they go in. The door is unlocked. They walk in and there's a shroud. There's this veil hanging. They push it back. And it is their mother lying in a bed with, I can't think of the mask type, but whenever someone has a severe burn, they have a mask on that kind of pulls the skin back. And I'm assuming this is to reduce inflammation. I don't know. I'm not a nurse. So there are three women braiding her hair. And one thing I noticed, all of them are wearing like gold adornments, gold chains. It's almost like a shrine almost, like when you see gods, you see the people waving them with palm fronds to keep them cool. It's almost to that degree. It's like she is a deity. And so Racine makes the comment that this is God. This ain't just mama. This is God. And Anaya's like, "Why do you say that?" And she was like, "We came from her, didn't? She gave us life." Okay. So they go in and everyone pauses and mom tells them they cool. These are my daughters, my beautiful daughters. And as she starts to talk, she starts to light up a blunt. And Anaya's like, she looks at her sister and they're having a conversation, but this is telepathically. It's now a little disjointed, where it was just subtitles before. Now you can see the disconnect happening between the two sisters. So as she's smoking the blunt, they're asking questions, she tells them to come closer so she can feel them, right? And they say, "How you doing, mama? What's going on?" She was like, dying. And they look at each other and they don't know what to do, but they eventually nervously laugh it off. And she tells them, how much she loved them, how she didn't reach out to them to keep them safe. And she's dying, but she has a mission for them. She needs them to kill their daddy. And so Anaya's like, "No, nah, you gotta be tripping." Both of them are hesitant. And so she goes over the story as to what happened. So mom had the two daughters. They're in the house. They're watching cartoons. Mom's cooking dinner, chopping, I think, carrots or something up. She hears the noise. She ignores it. She hears another noise. She ignores it. Third noise. She goes to check it out. She leaves the girls there. She's slowly walking around. Now, while this is happening, past scenes are filmed in this sepia soaked tone, right? Like a brownish, grayish, almost black and white look, but it's like a brown tint to it to show that this is a memory. And it's terrifying. It's building so much tension. And as she's searching around, she's not finding it. She goes to the restroom. She looks, she turns, she drops the knife. There he is. The dad, played by Sterling K. Brown. And the creepy thing is, you don't see him entirely. You see his back and the lower half of his mouth, right? And you see he has beautiful white teeth, but they're in contrast with his black skin. And it's unnerving how it's shot. He's smiling and she's narrating as she's in place what's occurring, which is also scary because she's telling what she's thinking as she's in the moment. And I believe this was specifically shot for all of the naysayers who are saying, when your life is in danger, what are you thinking? You know, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? And she's actively telling you her options. She could try to run, right? Or she could let him touch her because he does have a tender side. And as he's caressing her face, he leans in, he grabs her by the throat, right? Because she thought if she didn't react, you know, there's a, what's it called? A restraining order, you know. She thought that would, you know, keep her safe if she just kept calm. And apparently he broke into the house. You know, that was the noise she was hearing. And now he drags her, beats her, and throws her in the tub. Now, after he strangled her, she passes out. Sterling K. Brown pours liquor onto her. He gets the children, says, we're going to play a game. And he says, who can save mommy? He strikes a match and throws it on her and starts burning her. And he walks off. And he leaves her there with the kids. And you hear the kids screaming. You hear the mom screaming. And Sterling K. Brown's back is at the door as he whips out a cigarette, smokes it like nothing is going on. And it cuts to the present. And now the resolve has been built. The mission is set in stone. At least for Racine, it is. They're going to kill their dad.